Welcome to my analysis of Game of the Day, and we have a very exciting clash between America, Wesley So with the white pieces, and India, Adiban, otherwise known as the Animal, because he is pretty savage at the chessboard with the black pieces. Very nice game here and exciting encounter. So I say we dive straight into the action. What say you? So we started off with Wesley So playing e4, and we now had Adiban replying in kind, and we go into a Rule Lopez opening with bishop to b5. Adiban playing a6, and he's been playing this a bit recently, Adiban with the black pieces, very aggressive player. Bishop a4, knight to f6, so this is very standard Rule Lopez. Castles, and now bishop c5. And this is the so-called archangel variation. And in this line, the bishop takes up quite an aggressive square where it's pointing towards the black king. But it's also a little bit exposed on this square. For example, the more solid way to play the Rule Lopez is at some point placing the bishop on e7, normally after playing b5 first. The bishop goes to this square, which is considered a safer option for black. But bishop c5 again is a move that Adiban's been playing, and also a lot of other players. It seems to be a bit of a trend. Caruana has been playing this recently with very good success, and even Magnus Carlsen in the odd game. So now white played a move which is pretty rare. Bishop takes c6. Now it might seem a little bit odd to first play bishop to a4 and then to take on c6, but in actual fact, Wesley So's fellow American, Bobby Fischer, used to actually play in this way, so it's nice to see him copying the games of someone else great from his own country. And the idea of this is to try and say that a6 is a little bit of weakness and to only take on c6 when you have castled. And this does cause a little bit of damage in black structure. Black played d takes c6. Now this is the best way to recapture. Normally you want to recapture, or capture should I say, towards the center with your pawns. This is the basic rule, b takes c6 being a normal way to play, but not in this position. You want to take normally towards the center because you want to get your pawns in the center of the board, hugging that center. The center of the board being the most important part of the board. But in this case, it's just an error because of knight takes e5. And after knight takes e4 here, you can play queen e2. And this is kind of quite a standard trick where black's king is going to suffer with this very nasty attack on it. Now, after d takes c6, the position is different because to black's benefit, he's got this d file, so he can maybe put a rook on there later on. The bishop on c8 can also move out with some effect. So this is the standard way to recapture. And now just d3 guarding e4. Now taking here now is not as good. There's a couple of options here, and knight takes e4 may even be working here with the queen coming now to defend it. But generally taking here, it's a little bit loose when you haven't got so much development in the position. And the other thing is, even a move like queen d4 is now possible in the position. But maybe not here because of knight to f3. But you've got to watch out for these kind of moves. So thinking about that, what do we actually play here? It's a good question. I've tricked myself here by not analysing this position in advance. I've analysed everything else. Look, I'm normally perfect. I'm not an expert in this position. I can't always get it right. Only 99.9% of the time. But here, I don't know. Maybe you guys are going to have to tell me. Why can't you take that pawn? Now, let's have a look. So if we go here and queen e2 again, let's try to analyse this line. What will black play? And again, this just shows me that you have to know the theory of any opening you're going to play, because clearly knight takes e5 is a move that is not considered best by theory. Is it now possibly queen to d5, which I couldn't do before because my pawn's on d7, And in this position, I attack the knight and defend my knight. And to me, that looks like a good move, because now this knight will probably have to move, and I'm going to castle kingside. Okay, I think I've answered it. Whew, get out of jail free there, Simon. I was going to try to hustle you there and pretend I worked this all out before, but I was stumbling too much. Now, d3 is a more sensible move, because white would like to keep these pawns, to keep the tension if he can. The more pawns that get exchanged, the more simplified the position is. And now queen e7 is played, because black has to keep an eye on the e5 pawn, because e4 is no longer attacked. Another popular move in this position is knight to d7, so that you can play f6 quickly. And this knight may look a bit stupid here, but a very standard maneuver in this position is knight f8, knight e6, and then come into d4. So this knight does this little trip into the centre of the board. But queen e7 can't be a bad move. And now knight to d2, white continues his development. Bishop to g4. This is one of black's advantages. He has the two bishops, and in this case, a nice little pin. Knight to c4. This is why the knight went to d2. It's considered that e3 is a good square for the knight, and also here we're attacking e5. So knight d7 is now pretty much forced. h3, trying to ask the bishop the question, and now bishop h5, and we have our first new move of the game now, pawn to a3. Very interesting novelty from Wesley So. Previously, white had played bishop to e3 and continued in very solid fashion. But I think this is a wise choice from Wesley, because Wesley is maybe playing in a way that he understands his opponent's game. Obviously, Adibang being called the animal. Lovely guy, Adibang. Well, both of these players, total gentlemen. Adibang loves to attack. And with the white king castle kingside, it's very likely Adibang is going to throw his king over to the queen side. Wesley So, maybe feeling this is going to happen, prepares to gain a tempo with the attack. You know, just really thinking, what is my opponent going to play? What's his style? What is the animal? He can be animal against me, but I'm also going to be a bit of a lion against him as well. And true to form, castles queenside. Now, I was thinking about castling kingside here, but then I came to the conclusion that a good move is probably g4. There's a very famous old game of Capablanca, where Capablanca plays g4 against the bishop on h5 in these Ruy Lopez structures. If you want to become a better player, it's all about understanding what plans you do behind pawn structures. And you can do this by looking at classic games. And with the king over on c8, I wouldn't be as tempted to play g4, because later on my opponent might have h5 with a rook on h8. But in this position, I think bishop g6 is forced, and black's counterattacks with his pawns on the king side are less scary, because his king is over there, so he will be opening up his own king. And now I think white could play knight to e3 into f5, gaining some advantage. And the whole point of Capablanca's plan is to make this bishop a bad piece. And we can see the bishop on g6 is really just staring at a slab of concrete there. Not a very nice thing to stare at, really. You'd rather some green fields or a nice ocean. And in this position, the bishop is dead. So castle's queenside does seem natural. And now b4, true to form. Bishop to d4. Every tempo is important when you have opposite side castling. You don't want to lose time. And this move gains a tempo against the rook. And now another sensible move, knight to b6. Just trying to ask the knight the question there, opening up the rook. The knight comes to a nice central square. And here, black is playing very well at the moment, eliminates this knight. And I think this is quite a high-level decision by Adibang, because you don't always want to give up your bishop, especially when you have the bishop pair. But in this particular situation, I think we can see that, you can see that this knight has potential to come into f5, where it will be stronger than the bishop, and it's a very good centralized knight. So I think taking off that knight is actually a good move, and it gains some more time. But after bishop takes e3, this is where the animal maybe prematurely roars, and he now plays the very dynamic g5. Rah! The Adiban roar. Now, I'm a fan of moves like this, giving up a pawn, opening up some lines towards your opponent's king. But it's very risky to play. And in this position, if we go back a move, do you really need to play in this manner here, where white will capture that pawn? With the black pieces, you don't really need, if you've got an okay position, to take so many risks. And it turns out this is a little bit premature. Okay, you can sacrifice pawns, but really when you do such a thing in your games, you should have a concrete reason why you're doing that. You know, if you're going to give a pawn away, it's not for, oh, well, you know, maybe I'll get a little bit of action over there. Who knows? You know? Wah-ha-ha-ha. No, it should be, I'm giving a pawn up over there because of this line. He takes there, I take there. I have this threat. You've got to calculate, and you've got to really see something that is tangible and concrete. Otherwise, it is a pawn, and you're going to lose the ending. So I think in this position, you know, he should have been maybe a little bit cautious even, which is a pity, but it suits the position, as we're going to see, and played f6. Just preparing g5, g4 next move. There's no need to give that pawn up. That pawn is actually a very important attacker, and this position would have been absolutely fine for Adiban. But he is the animal, so let's give him a little bit of a round of applause for his brave move, g5. Wesley So, not impressed, just takes it and says, what are you doing? I'm just going to take it, animal. You're no animal to me. I'm the Wesley So monster. And this is what top players nowadays do. They don't show any fear. They're happy to defend for a little bit of time. I'm sure Sarawan would be impressed. Grab the pawn grabber, and hold on. And why not? Because black doesn't have anything concrete. So f6 is pretty much forced, and now a good maneuver, bishop h4. Because black is going to try to attack on the G file. So let's just bring another piece around to defend. I think it's very important actually in chess to, you know, when you're defending or attacking, look at how many pieces, if you're attacking, you have attacking. Look how many pieces your opponent has defending. You really want to have more pieces attacking than your opponent defending for it to be successful. And in this position with the bishop coming here, you know, white is very well defended with his pieces. So there's no reason Adiban's attack should work, and it doesn't. So the rook comes to g8. And now, what is white's main problem? Wesley plays very cleverly now. And you've got to work out what your main problems are in chess and get rid of them. And this pin is a serious issue. How do we deal with that? We move the queen to e3. So queen e2. And now there's no point allowing that knight into c3. So we're limiting our opponent's pieces. A very nice positional move. Rook f8 and now queen e3. And this queen is also maybe tempting to pop its head over there and say hello to the black king. Not now, but at some point. And black clearly doesn't have enough compensation. King b8, another safety first move here. King h2, I like this move. Let's get the rook out of any trouble there. We are a pawn up. We don't need to even checkmate at the moment now. We just consolidate. King a8, c4. Might as well push our pawns where our opponent's king is. And around here, it's clear to see black is really struggling. And his next move, I totally understand, f5. He lashes out with some glimmer of hope. But again, Wesley So throughout this game shows what a cool customer he is and defends brilliantly. This is why he's the player he is, Wesley. He keeps his cool. He can play all positions. I mean, black should have played another move from this because now white grabs another pawn. Things are very bad for black here. Black is hoping that he will get some compensation. But again, white has so many pieces defending. Look at all these guys. Every white piece is playing a part here. But the end of this game is absolutely phenomenal. I think it's a brilliant finish. Knight to c8. Rook d3. Let's improve our pieces. And black is now trying to bring his knight towards the white king. Understandably throwing everything, including that kitchen sink at the white king. Rook e8, just very, slowly improving all the pieces. And now king comes to a7 and a4, getting ready to start an attack. Black goes on the defensive, surely a sign that things are going badly wrong. And now white takes the opportunity to improve his rook. Any exchange of pieces help the side whose material up, and if this bishop now moves, white can eliminate. H5, well, let's not let that pawn come any further. H4, we're very well consolidated there. Queen F6, and now that white has improved his pieces as much as he can, B5. Let's finish this game off. And there are some horrible threats here, like B6 is actually checkmate. Let's say knight F5 with black trying to be clever, unleashing an attack against the queen and against the rook. Well, he's going to be punished with B6. And after that, the pawn can take with checkmate. So black has to take on B5, and Adiban figures, well, I might as well grab a pawn there. And now the final finish comes upon the animal. He's hunted down by the So monster. C6 check, B6, and now knight to D7. And this is creating a very nice fork here. But there's a really beautiful point behind this move. Let me just show you the game continuation first. Black went for rook takes G3, some desperate attempt, but after queen takes G3, Adiban had enough here with his queen on pre, his rook on pre, but actually the biggest threat here is queen takes C7 checkmate. Everything is going wrong here. But there's a lovely threat in the position behind knight D7. Let's say that black moves the queen and plays, for example, queen to E6. Now, I'm not even going to tell you the answer to this, but there's a beautiful way here that white can force checkmate. And this is the kind of position you would see in puzzle books. And who is going to be the first of you to leave the correct answer in the comments below? It's white to play and finish the game. Now, remember to like this video, please do, and subscribe to the chess.com YouTube channel. It's been a good day of chess. There'll be many more of these. And thank you for putting up with me for these 17 minutes. You deserve a big medal just for being there, listening to me wabbling on with my chess excitement. Oh, yeah. So I'll see you again soon. Thank you. Obviously, I've gone a bit crazy today, but sometimes that's called for.